What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Schrishzen Thoughts, where I talk about stuff and things. And today we are going to again talk about what I believe. So, for starters, shout out to my subscribers, shout out to anybody new coming across this channel. Comments and feedback are always welcome, and if you like what you hear, feel free to subscribe. If you do subscribe, make sure you hit that bell icon, that way you get notifications when I do make new videos. Shout out to my newest subscriber, I think IBBY, something like that, JBBY. Thank you for hopping on board. I appreciate you. Shout out to Christopher Mowdy and shout out to Black of the Berry Black of the Berry podcast that I was recently on, and Christopher Mowdy. I was on a show with him and a couple other YouTubers. We did a Pocky challenge. I will link somewhere in here for that. I have my own Pocket Chip challenge video up, and I did one now with them. It's hour long, pretty cool. I'd say you could sit through the whole thing. You could fast forward a little bit if you wanted to watch it, but it was good. Made it through the whole hour, a good time. But from the Black of the Berry podcast, I was on there and talked a little bit about what I believe. I was asked where I stand in relation to God, and I had stated agnostic. Never really explained what that means, though. So for anybody who is unfamiliar, an agnostic is somebody who is in between. You don't believe, you don't not believe. You don't believe that there is a God, but you also do not believe that there are no gods. I'm one that is in that position and kind of still leaning toward you can't know, because I don't know how we would really verify this aside from direct experience or aside from a collective direct experience, but at this point I have none. So I don't buy into the Christian concept. I don't buy into a Muslim or Judaic concept. I don't buy into Buddhist or Taoist and Hindu concepts either. I think they are a bit more plausible in some ways, and something like a deistic type God, a God who just kind of got everything going and left it to go on its own, seems more plausible to me, if there was one. My issue behind that is, if it's a true deistic type God, they're not revealing themselves to you in any way. And if they are, they're not, or from what I would think, if they're there, they don't care whether you believe in them or not. So even if I don't, it doesn't matter anyway. I don't believe in life after death. I've heard an idea posed for reincarnation, which makes sense, but I don't know how you would verify that it actually happens. My dude Alan Watts had said, when you die, a baby will be born. There's no difference really between that and when you die, you will be born and get in another body, but you will forget everything about your previous life. Could that be the case? Could that be what happens? Maybe. But if you forget everything about your previous life, you don't know. So, plausible idea, but I don't really have anything to back it. I get but I can understand how that makes sense. In having a conversation recently on Facebook, a kid brought up, the dude I was talking with brought up, hold up. Not bad. Dude I was talking with brought up trying to ground where I base my knowledge of my purpose in life. So I said I based it on experience. Granted, that's based off something subjective because all of our experiences are subjective. But I still ground it in experience. I don't really believe people have purpose. I think it's something that we give ourselves. But if we were to have one, I think I know what mine is. What I know of my purpose to be is to be alive. I know that is my purpose. If there's anything on top of that, I'm adding to it. Why? Because in order to have any other purpose on top of that, you've got to be alive. So one of your main things must be to be alive. So yeah, anything on top of that, you're adding, you're creating, you're putting there yourself, or you're letting somebody else describe it to you and accepting it. Cool, do what you do. Within that, he had been led to ask, did you create yourself? And I said, well, in a sense, yes. In my time of exploring different ideas, I came across, like I said, Alan Watts, who I'm a huge fan of, heavily influenced by, and he posed the idea of you are the universe. It's taught within Eastern ideas and Eastern teachings like Taoism, Buddhism, and Hinduism. And the idea makes sense to me if you were to look at it from he puts it even in the perspective of a wave. You are a function of the universe in the same way that a wave is a function of the entire ocean. A wave isn't separate from the rest of the ocean, but a wave can be pointed out as an individual wave. So you go along with the universe, and in that sense are connected to it, and in that sense are it, manifesting yourself as you. You are an aperture through which the universe is looking at and exploring itself. You are, or it's like saying the universe acts in a non-dualistic way. It says like Tweedledee and Tweedledum agreed to have a battle. Explicitly, you are as different can be, but implicitly you go together. In that sense, I look at it as there is a way that I could say I created myself. I, my connected universe version, or self that is within this body, created the self that is used to interact within this world, which is referred to in other ways as ego. I still relate ego to the sentience that I attach to the consciousness that I have, the ability for me to communicate to you, to structure sentences, do all this, know to even try and record a video, run a YouTube channel. All of that is, in a sense, controlled and run and ordered by that you that's behind it, the one that does all the things for you that you're not really thinking about when you're doing them. The breathing that I've been doing that I'm not consciously doing, but it's happening. Something that's, are you doing it or does it happen to you? This gets down into other conversations, but along these lines is where I would say I did create myself. This led him to saying that I am basically being arrogant and I'm like God. Okay, if that's how you feel. But in that sense, I see everybody as connected. I see everybody as you are the universe, not in some grandiose sense, but just in the sense that everything that makes up the universe is what makes up you, and in that sense, you are the same thing. Like I said, like the wave, one part of the ocean waving is still the entire ocean waving. I do enjoy conversations. I do enjoy going back and forth with people. I tend to pay more attention to Christianity. Why? Because that's what surrounds me. Everybody that's around me is Christian. Everything that's, in a sense, pushed at all is Christianity. So I spend the most time listening to Christian-related things or talks with Christians or conversations between atheists and Christians, to hear counters to things that I might question or that I might not have thought of. Since it's kind of hard to try and find, it's not hard. It's easy to find people to try and engage with. I don't care for doing it in a big group, like online Facebook groups, because a bunch of people tend to chime in and it's hard to talk with a bunch of different people or a bunch of different people at once. One-on-ones, cool. Finding time sometimes to do voice one-on-ones is a little difficult with the way that my life is set up, but down for text ones. I find it weird sometimes, like the dude that I talk to the most at the moment, think I need to stop texting with because I don't know how he reads. I don't know how he reads what I write, so I feel like a tone that might come off in something that I say that's not how I meant it, and then it just spirals the whole conversation out. Like like the conversation that I've been referencing, the jumps that happen, it may not happen if we're having an actual voice convo. But so that's to say, comments and feedback are always welcome. This is more just this is how I think right now. If I get into combos with people, I'd be like, hey, go check this out. It'll run my likes up. Lego. I hope you enjoyed. I will leave information for reaching me in other areas. I do it on just about every video that I do any type of editing to. So if I do any type of editing to this, you can almost guarantee that there's a link or that there's information within the description box that tells you how to reach me. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good one. Peace.